Meeting to order. If you'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, sorry. Oh.
You do have a revised agenda in front of you, and actually when we get to new business, we'll be offering a motion from the floor. It'll be motion 1512, water well number 6 replacement. There was a memorandum in your packet regarding this issue. I also believe that City Manager Campbell messaged on this topic in his weekly communique, and of course, you didn't message on, I'm sorry, my apologies. Communiques blend together. Sorry. That's all right, my mistake. But our superintendent, water superintendent, Mr. Scull is here tonight, and he'll be able to address any questions and concerns you may have when we get to that agenda item. So I just wanted to make note of that. Members present this evening are myself, Mayor Morrow, Council members Gearbaugh, Cybo Koenig, Rhodes, Tahar, and Dillon. From city staff, we have City Manager Campbell, Deputy Clerk Royal, City Treasurer Bennett, Police Chief Rennick was here, Parks and Rec Director Scruggs, Assessor Scull, Technology Support Coordinator Schonk, Mr. Rubel I think is in the back but will return momentarily, and WWTP Director Scull. For the rest of you who are in attendance tonight, if you'd please sign in the back, we would appreciate that. And at this time I would seek a motion to approve the agenda as submitted unless there are additional amendments.
So move.
As submitted, Mayor Pro Tem?
As submitted. Thank
you. Move to approve as submitted by Rhodes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by, that was Dillon, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the agenda as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it and the motion carries unanimously. At this time I would also seek a motion to excuse the absence of Councilmember Roth.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Tahar, seconded by Councilman Gearbaugh. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it and the motion carries unanimously. We have one presentation this evening. It's the Rec Center Marketing Campaign Update from Director Scruggs. Why don't you come forward? We welcome hearing about the marketing campaign and also about the progress we've made at the facility over the past calendar year, subsequent to some pretty important policy changes being made. So maybe when the screen lowers in your PowerPoint
Should be ready to go here.
is on the screen, you may begin, Director Scruggs.
Well, I am happy to be here tonight to report on how we did. I'm calling this our 2015 Rec Center Report Card. This is a full year of, from all of 2014 calendar year, all of the different things that we've done throughout this year. First of all, I'm reporting this on behalf of my staff, all of my full-time staff, and as well as all of our part-time staff, our front desk people, our building supervisors, Kids Corner. This is a real team effort, and everyone really participated and embraced all of the changes and really made this thing work. So I'd like to acknowledge them at this time. In 2013, the mayor put forth a rec task force, and essentially there was two goals. To improve the financial stability of the rec center and to grow the rec center memberships by improving the experience for the members. So addressing these two goals, the first one is to improve the financial stability. With the help of our city treasurer, Mickey Joe Bennett, we put together calendar years rather than fiscal years so that we could take a good snapshot view of how we did revenues-wise and expense-wise. So as you can see in 2013, our revenue was $1.8 million, and in 2014, we increased by almost 23% to $1.4 million. Our expenses in 2013 were $1.2 million, and in 2014 did increase by about 15% to $1.3 million. And a lot of these, I guess our expectations for a lot of the changes that we did were reflected just like this. We did expect our revenues to increase. We didn't expect it to increase by 22%. We were aiming more towards the 10%. So we exceeded that expectation. And we did know that our expenses would go up because we've increased our hours of operation and staffing. So this is a real good snapshot on how we actually did from 2013 to 2014. The second goal was to improve the experience for its members, and there were several points regarding the payment options. We include the monthly recurring billing. We created a couples membership. We increased our hours of operation. We included actually about 36 fitness classes that are free with the membership. We do offer holiday hours. Our family memberships now have an extension plan for the non-traditional family. Our daily fees now include the free fitness classes that are available for that day. And we adjusted our ages for the daily admissions. Before, a child was from 3 to 13, or actually 3 to 12. So we bumped it up to actually the school age, so 3 to 17 is considered a child. Adults are 8 to 59. I see I have a typo there. It's not $18, it's 18 people, or 18 years of age. And the senior membership is $8 per day. And then we also redefined the resident status to include the entire school district. And in fact, I'll show this in a slide later on, but we did increase our membership by 13% this year. So our membership trends, again, calendar year 2013 to 14, we increased every month, with the exception of those 3 months, February, June, and November. In 2013, we had open houses those months, which really bumped up membership, people actually renewing versus joining. So those numbers are a little bit skewed. In 2014, we didn't have any per se open houses where we offered like a membership discount on joining up on a certain day. We didn't feel that we needed to offer that because we now have a lot better package, a lot better value for the membership fees, and it really has paid off. So we're very pleased to say that we have a 13% increase in our memberships. And again, we were expecting about a 10% increase in our membership. This is, I'm not the best with charts, but this is kind of the demographics of 2013 for our city and then the townships that are in the school district. As you can see, kind of the Lodi, York, Saline townships are a little bit lower than the city of Saline and Pittsfield. And in 2013, you can see that they expanded somewhat, and that's reflective of opening up the resident status to our school district. And this is another snapshot look at it from 2013 in purple to 2014 in green. City, we increased in every single category, increased our membership. And then this is kind of a chart that shows all of our different categories, our membership categories. So this is our resident category. So there's a family, year and a month, the senior family, individual, and so on and so forth. And this, what this shows is that we increased our membership in just about every category, except there's a couple in our monthlies that we didn't increase from 2013 to 2014. But definitely in all of the year annual sales, we definitely increased. And then the last two are the couple membership category, which is a new category for 2013. And looking at the numbers, for the resident couple category, we really increased. That equals about 121, I think. So that was really, and the REC Task Force kind of believed that, we knew that was necessary, but we didn't realize how much that would be used. And it definitely proved that it was a valuable change. Then the non-resident, we decreased, which we expected, because a lot of the township that were considered non-residents are now residents. So we have decreased somewhat, but it hasn't been eliminated. So this was an expected thing or trend that was going to happen. Recurring memberships, this is what I was talking, the monthly billing. Every month we did very well. Right now we're at about 172 people that are on the recurring billing. which means a couple of things. One is it gives every month we're getting more money consistently rather than having a lot of peaks and valleys. So people that are on the recurring member, every month they're going to get billed X amount of dollars, and that's revenue coming in consistently for us. The other thing that does is gives us a little bit more retention. So there's really, that stays, that will just keep going until they tell us that they don't want the membership any longer. So there's really no decision in my year is up, do I renew or don't I renew? So it'll just keep going until till they say, I'm moving or I've had enough, I don't want to belong any longer. So this is a really good thing, and every month we tend to get a few more people coming in for the recurring billing. Daily passes, again, calendar year, the youth versus, or the youth, adult, and seniors. Our youth category increased significantly, almost double. It's about 74% increase, and we knew this was going to happen, and we were hoping that this would happen because our trend was a lot of the kids, those school-age kids, the high schoolers especially, were not coming to the rec center. They weren't coming in after school to shoot baskets or to hang out with their friends or swim or whatnot. And by lowering that daily fee for the youth, they started coming more. And it reflects with our attendance. Our gym is busy. The pool is busy. We have a lot more of that school-age kid coming to the rec center. And then we did have a decrease in the adult, but my belief is that it's because some of those youth moved up to the from the adult section to the youth section. And then our senior daily passes have decreased significantly, but as you can see from the other charts, we did add, we increased our senior membership. So it's kind of evening itself out there. Customer feedback, we've had a lot over the years. I didn't, not enough to share with all of the feedback, but essentially they're liking that the classes are included in the membership. They're saying that the participation levels in our classes have increased, and by that happening, it makes it a lot more fun. And one of the big things is staying open later. And earlier is allowing people to have more flexibility in their workout schedules. And then instructor feedback. We have a lot of really, really good instructors for all of our classes, and I polled them and asked what they're hearing and what their feedback is. And obviously inclusion of the classes has increased our attendance levels in the classes, and they're hearing really good things from our participants saying that they're joining because of this now. Our personal trainer, actually the hours of operation has helped her to bring in more clients, and she has more time to be able to work with them. So it's all a good feedback from their end. And then our employees, it's really important what our employees think. And actually, all of the changes that we made were real positive things. But I think the most significant thing is it's kind of brought a renewed vibrancy to the rec center. When we give someone a tour, we have a lot to brag about. We have a lot to offer, and we, it's easy to sell it now. Before it was a little bit more difficult because the classes were a la carte, and so that's just more money that someone would have to pay. But it's really, we have a lot to brag about, and everyone has kind of renewed their energy, and it's been really positive feedback. Classes that I keep alluding to that are included, we have 36 classes, 10 aerobic classes, and they're a variety of different types of aerobics. We have 5 yoga classes, 3 Pilates, 5 Zumba classes, 4 spinning, the TRX classes, yoga Lattes, and actually just starting last week is a teen, it's kind of like a teen boot camp for school-age kids, 8th grade to 12th grade. And we spread it across all 5 days. We try to offer something 7 days a week, I didn't mean to say 5, but 7 days a week, and we try to make sure we balance it out between morning and evening classes. So that any member could, come at any time, and there's good variety for them to choose from. And again, I'd like to plug our instructors. They are top-notch instructors. Really, really, they know what they're doing. They offer great classes, and we've had excellent feedback from our participants. I mentioned the expanded hours of operation. Actually, I should have switched that a little bit, but our old hours of operation, we were operating 91 hours a week, and we changed it to 106 hours a week. So now we're open at 5:30 in the morning, and we close at 10 p.m., and that's Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, we're open at 6, and we close at 6. So we've really increased that, and it's been wonderful. And actually feedback from some of our members, they're saying thank you. They're very happy. They love the new hours. It's been a lifesaver for them. They're able to, work out their fitness and health into their schedules. Our Kids Corner, again, a calendar look, in 2013, we were at 5,100 people, kids that attended Kids Corner, and we bumped it up about 5% to 5,300. And that's a reflection, I'm sure, of our increased family members and having kids attending. Holiday hours. This was new starting January of 2014. We picked some holidays to be open, just to try it, to see if it would be successful. Our first one was Memorial Day. We had 94 people attend that day. 4th of July, 122. Labor Day, we increased even more to 184. We chose to be closed Thanksgiving and Christmas just because it's more of a family. It's hard to get our high school kids to lifeguard and people to open up. And then New Year's Day was our first time that we were open, and we had 141 people. Normal days between 5:30 and noon, we average about 212 people. So we were actually on target with how many people were utilizing the facility during the holiday hours. And I'm hoping in 2015 it'll increase even more. Kind of feedback, this is now included in our new member packet that every person gets when they sign up initially. We're starting to get feedback from them. We want to know why they joined, what influenced them to join, regarding the facilities or what we have to offer. And it also gives them the opportunity to join our weekly newsletter. We do a lot of social media. We do the Facebook, Twitter. Also, every week we have an e-newsletter. We call it our rec link that goes out, just to try to keep people up to date. And we actually have a lot of people that like our page. We're in the thousands, and as friends on Facebook, we're almost 2,500. So we're constantly trying to reach out and get feedback and make improvements for our members. And then kind of a summary on our next steps. The summary, what I'd like to say is that everything that we initiated proved to be positive. We're experiencing growth financially in memberships and participation levels, and we've re-energized ourselves, revitalized ourselves. And then our next steps is to increase our marketing and awareness, especially to our school district, and to continue growing our membership. Questions?
Very good. Thank you, Director Scruggs. Are there any questions for Ms. Scruggs?
Not a question, but a comment. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Sounds like you did everything just right. Keep up the good work.
Mr. Gearbaugh, did you have a question or comment, sir?
No, same thing. I just would repeat the same thing Mr. Rose said. This did become as successful as we were hoping, and if it will continue to grow, and especially if you start the marketing campaign, I think we'll be in good competition with the rest of the facilities around here.
Definitely. Thank you.
Well, the only other thing that I would add, and I think Mr. Rhodes and Mr. Gearbaugh were correct. This is very exciting, and congratulations. Secondarily, I'm pleased that we're going to continue to market the facility and do community outreach, because there are still a number of people who are unaware of our policy changes. And the other thing that I would add, and you made comment of this, Director Scruggs, we have a world-class facility with a lot of amenities, great instructors, flexible hours, and when we did an analysis, it's one of the cheapest facilities in southeastern Michigan. Again, folks, you don't need to take my word for it. You can do your own research. But at a minimum, especially at this time of the year when everyone's talking about leading healthier lifestyles or leading a more healthy life, and eating right and exercising, I would encourage everyone in the community, everyone in the school district, to at a minimum check out the facility. Go on a tour, understand the amenities, the flexibility, the great instructors, the wonderful staff people that work there, and I think you'll find the facility quite appealing. So I'm going to do my part to continue to help you, but keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Anything else? No? Thank you. Appreciate it, Ms. Scruggs. Okay, we come to citizen comments on agenda items. Under the Open Meetings Act, a citizen may come forward at this time and make comment or question on an item that appears on this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested, but not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Are there any citizen comments? No citizen comments. Then we'll proceed to the consent agenda. The following consent agenda will normally be adopted without discussion. However, at the request of any citizen or council member, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for council discussion.
Move to approve as submitted.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Seibel Koenig. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We move on to a public hearing, item 15-09. This is special land use request for 107 East Bennett. This is a series of 4 motions. The first motion is to acknowledge receipt of the December 15th memo from Assistant Clerk Connie DeHaan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Gearbaugh. Was that a second by Ms. Dillon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments regarding Ms. DeHaan's memorandum? No, then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. At this time, we need to open the public hearing, affording the general public an opportunity to speak on this issue. Is there a motion to open the public hearing at, let's make it 8 p.m. on the dot?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Tahar. All those in favor of opening the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on the special land use request for 107 East Bennett?
Move to close.
Move to close at 8:01 by Councilmember Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Seibel Koenig. I'll get you next time, Ms. Tahar. All those in favor of closing the public hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Public hearing is now closed. We proceed with the final motion. This will be a motion to approve or not to approve the special land use to allow use of a tenant space as a barbershop salon as regulated by zoning code 4.0410 B2, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that parking space lighting shall be added if the business operates into the evening hours. 2, that the Planning Commission allows for 5 parking spaces in lieu of the 6 spaces required for the proposed uses by utilizing the parking flexibility section, in 13.034. And 3, 2 deferred parking spaces located in the rear yard shall be constructed when deemed necessary by the city.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Rhodes. Been moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Ms. Seibel Koenig. Is there any discussion? No discussion? Then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. The first new business item is item 15-10. This is Comcast Agreement. This will be a motion to approve or not to approve the Rec Center Comcast contract for a 3-year period at a rate of $272.55 per month to provide internet and television service at the facility. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Tahar. Mr. Schonk or Director Scruggs, do you care to comment on this at all? No comment? No comment? Okay. No? Okay, are there any questions for any staff member? It's pretty cut and dry.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Tahar.
Yes, I just, out of curiosity, what television services do we use at the rec center? Internet would be clear.
Comcast.
No, I mean, but
Oh.
what TV is used? I mean,
I'm
what-
sorry, in our
How do we
fitness,
use it?
in our fitness room, in the cardio fitness room, we have 3 televisions that one has a local news station, one is a sports station, and the other is a national news. But the reason.
Excuse me, isn't there also a television in the lobby area?
In the lobby, and in our kids' corner, and in our classroom that we use for different programs and events. But the reason that this came about is they contacted us and said, we no longer offer the package that you have, and the only other package or that would be similar is this, and it's a $10 a month increase. So we really didn't have an option, so it's formality.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, it's unfortunate that Comcast can't provide us the service without having to charge this, considering what I just saw in our bills recently, so just having a grief.
Any other questions or comments regarding this agenda item? No, then we'll proceed to vote. It's been properly moved by Rhodes, seconded by Tahar to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to new business item 15-11. This is CARES grant application approval. This will be a motion to approve or not to approve the request to apply to CARES, for a January grant cycle in the amount of $1,002 to cover costs to purchase play equipment, 9 square-in-the-air tether balls for Teth Park.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Dillon. Ms. Scruggs, do you care to comment at all?
Well, I'm sure everyone's asking themselves, what's 9 square in the air? You can see the photo that we have, but this is kind of a new game that's available, and there's nine squares, and it's constructed of PVC, and you have to keep the ball up in the air, and it goes through the squares, and if you let it bounce, then you're out, and everyone moves around. So it's kind of a combination of volleyball, foursquare, just basketball and things like that. So that would be put out at Teft Park, out near the sand volleyball courts. And then tetherball is the other game that we'd like to put out at Teft Park. And again, that would be used for our kids' camps and fun days, and just for the general public to use as well.
Very good. Any questions for Director Scruggs? Any comments? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Dillon.
Will the 9 square, will that be a permanent structure? Will it be cemented to the ground?
The idea is to create like some sleeves that we can remove it and take it inside if we wanted to, but there will be some permanent sleeves out there that we can put the structure into.
They would stay out year-round?
Well, we would remove it during like the winter time so that we can put it up in the gym.
Okay.
And use it in the gym as well, or the racquetball court.
Thank you, Ms. Dillon. Anything further? No, then we'll proceed to vote. It's been properly moved by Gearboss, seconded by Dillon to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. This is the motion that I would like to offer from the floor, my friends. This is new business item 15-12. This is water well number 6 replacement, and I would actually ask Mr. Director Skull to come up at this time to comment on this. This will be a motion to approve or not to approve the repairs to water well number 6 by Peerless Midwest for an amount not to exceed $26,340 with funds to be charged to the Drinking Water Revolving Fund, DWRF. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. Do you want to be the second, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, sir, please.
All right. Thank you kindly. Mr. Scull, do you care to comment on this? And there was a memorandum provided in everyone's packet as well.
Well, just to reemphasize that number 6 well was put in as one of the first steps in our last expansion of the water system in 2004. We use it, it's probably our most heavily used well in the city, and that's probably why the shaft only lasted about 10 years. Usually they last a little longer. But we rely on this well because it's got a variable speed drive, which means we can operate it at whatever speed we need to, depending on water demand. That's about it.
Okay. There are questions for Director Scull? No, pretty cut and dry. Okay, Bob, thank you. Any further discussion? No, that's been properly moved by Gearboss, seconded by Rhodes to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Ayes have it. The motion carries unanimously. Excuse me. We move on to discussion items. The first up is commission, committee, or task force reports from council members. I know it's just been 1 week since we met. Any boards and commissions? No? Okay. How about reports or other announcements? I'll start with Ms. Seibel Koenig, and then we'll move to Mayor Pro Tem.
This is from the Saline Chamber of Commerce. Today we opened up the nomination process for the Saline Salute Citizen Awards. These are annual awards that recognize sort of outstanding citizen contributions to the Saline community. There are 3 categories, which Citizen of the Year, Lifetime Achievement, and the George A. Anderson Vision Award. Nominations can be submitted online through the Chamber website. There's also a form if you prefer to write it out and send it in. You can download the form also from the website, which is salinechamber.org. And nominations will close on February 12th. The awards are presented at a banquet program on March 27th. So.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great event. Mr. Rhodes.
I wanted to mention again the crowdfunding presentation that's going to take place here in council chambers on January 22nd at 6:30 p.m. That's a Thursday. And there will be a couple of speakers from organizations that have been contracted by the county to go around various communities within the county and put on these presentations that talk about the new crowdfunding process, which is available to everyone in the state of Michigan. January 22nd, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. here. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I participated in a SEMCOG webinar today on government collaboration. And while it was interesting, I did not hear anything that was immediately applicable to the city of Saline.
Well, we appreciate you participating nevertheless, Mr. Rhodes. Thank you for those announcements. Are there additional announcements? I just have one. I wanted to make you aware that at our next regular council meeting, which will be on February the 2nd, I'll be adding to the discussion portion of the agenda our pension liability. You'll recall that we discussed this issue with our financial advisor and our legal counsel who specializes in this type of issue about a month ago. And I do recall that Councilmember Rhodes and Councilwoman Seibel Koenig were unable to attend that meeting. I do believe you've received the support material from city staff, probably Ms. Bennett. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to review it, and conversely, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to sit down with City Manager Campbell or Treasurer Bennett to go over that. If that is your wish, I would encourage you to do so. And the same would be offered to you, Ms. Dillon. I know you were a council member-elect at that time, but if you would like to sit down and discuss the matter further with Treasurer Bennett or City Manager Campbell, that would be perfectly fine. I'm going to be bringing it up again because I'd like to be developing some sort of consensus on how best to move forward. We were presented with one option. It's not the only option. But before we have a discussion, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. And all of us have had ample opportunity to review the initial materials that were distributed. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And I know Mr. Campbell would welcome any questions, concerns that you may have on this important issue. Okay. Are there any other reports or announcements? No? Then we'll move on to the last one this evening, which is 207 Monroe Street. In your packets, you should have received, I know I did, a memorandum from the Planning Commission that was prepared by Assistant Clerk DeHaan and City Superintendent Engineer Rubel regarding that particular commission's thoughts and opinions regarding the sale of 207 Monroe Street. In addition to that, I believe on Friday, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Campbell, you forwarded an email from Mr. Heisler representing Peters Building Company addressing a number of issues that have come up in the last 2 or 3 months. In addition to Mr. Heisler being here this evening, the other applicant, Damien, you want to raise your hand, is also here. We appreciate both of you gentlemen being here. You'll recall they made presentations to this body and made a subsequent presentations to the Planning Commission about a month ago. In addition to all of that, Mr. Rubel, Mr. Campbell, Director Scruggs, Councilmember Rhodes, and myself met with some interested parties on Friday, residents of Mark Hanna Court. There may have been some folks from Henry Street there as well, about half a dozen, to listen to a number of their concerns. And Mr. Rhodes, I would welcome any comments that you have, but one of the things that was articulated is a desire for the city not to sell the 4 lots that were added to this parcel some time ago. But it was also clear to me that if those parcels were sold, there would be some desire to develop some sort of easement or pathway which would allow those residents to continue to access People's Park. That was something that was verbalized and expressed pretty emphatically. Also, a preference was made for one of the proposals, the one that Damien has submitted. And again, that was 6 people. We respect their opinion. I think it was a good dialogue. That obviously there are many people who have an opinion and a thought on this matter, but I did want to share that. Mr. Rhodes, do you have anything to add regarding that meeting on Friday afternoon?
No, I believe you covered it very well. Thank
Okay.
you.
So what I'm looking for this evening, and of course one of the reasons why we invited the 2 petitioners here this evening, is to address any outstanding questions or concerns that you may have, and hopefully begin to develop some sort of consensus as to which proposal is preferred and how best to move forward. And my thought would be, if there's consensus on which proposal is more appealing, then we would empower staff, particularly Mr. Campbell, to begin negotiation. Obviously, a survey would have to be done of the parcel. I do want to have a discussion and entertain the idea of an easement, with which Mr. Rhodes and I talked about briefly subsequent to the meeting on Friday, and any other issues and concerns that council members have, if that makes sense to everybody. Mr. Rhodes, you want to maybe start us off, because I know you have an opinion on this. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but perhaps you would begin this evening.
Certainly, glad to do that. Well, as you stated, the preference of the homeowners on Mark Hanna Court would be to not include those 4 parcels within the transaction. It does seem to me that there was also mention that if they were included, that an easement be made available across the east end of those parcels adjacent to the property owners. And I believe that it would be perfectly appropriate for us on council, if there is agreement, to make that a requirement of the transaction, that there be a 5 to 10 foot wide pedestrian easement across that property. And as far as preferences for the style of the development, I believe that Damien Farrell's proposal is one that I like best. I'm friends with both of these gentlemen, and so it pains me a bit to have to select one of the 2, but that's a necessary requirement. We have talked for a long time within this community about not having enough diversity, and styles of housing will help with the economic diversity that we might seek to have. So that's my position.
Okay. I appreciate that. Can I get some comments and thoughts from other members of council? Mr. Gearbaugh?
I'm fine with the idea of us selling the 4 lots from the perspective of that. I think we pretty much have seen in both designs that we're looking to present and basically keep those from being developed. Most of the both proposals have shown a quite distant building package from where that would be from the other homes that are already there, so I think that's fine. And the easement was something we've talked about even at the planning commission, so I think that's an appropriate approach. The one plan that I like is Damien's because of the perspective of how it preserves some of the open space, and I think it's a more of a benefit to the homeowners that are currently there, and that's one of their concerns. I think some of the individuals would feel even better if we didn't develop it at all, but I think if we go to the approach of trying to accommodate to where the open space is preserved towards the back of the property and a little bit more towards the whole layout of the plan, I think it's the best approach for the city at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbox. Appreciate those comments. Ms. Tahar?
Yes, thank you. I also support selling the 4 lots that were added. A question about, and I'm not opposed to the concept of a pedestrian easement, but I also have a question about that. Does that then put responsibility on the city for maintenance of any kind of that area? So the ownership would be in the development, so whatever maintenance would be the responsibility of the condominium association or the individual homeowners, depending on which development were there?
I would say the former, but yeah.
Okay. And I also favor the proposal, Damien's proposal. And like Mr. Rhodes, I'm interested from the point of view of added diversity in our housing stock within the city, and also maintaining open space and vegetation, and working with the natural features of the property.
Very good. Ladies, who'd like to go next? You want to start us off, and then we'll
My comments would just echo those of my fellow council members. I greatly appreciate that both builders were conscious of the concerns of the residents nearby, and I appreciate that. And, I just basically am in agreement with the other comments made here.
Ms. Dillon?
I support selling the 4 lots, and I believe that there should be some sort of an easement as part of the process, and there should also be reasonable buffers put in on the perimeters. And I believe that both of the builders have presented viable options. And so we'll leave it to where that ends.
Okay, very good. Well, the good thing about mayor is you get to go last. Sometimes it's the good part of the job. But it appears that consensus has been developed and that there's a preference for Damien's proposal. Let me begin by thanking both of the applicants and interested parties. It goes without saying that Peters Building, their projects and their initiatives over the course of the last several decades have greatly benefited a number of individuals in this community, but ultimately the community as a whole, and we thank them for that, and we look forward to working with you on projects in the future. Damien is somebody who we have not worked with yet, but has a pretty impressive reputation. I'm familiar with a number of his projects. They're quality projects. Aesthetically, they're very nice, and I think people are pleased with what he does. I too, like Mr. Rhodes, and I think like everyone else on the dais, support some sort of easement to allow the residents of Mark Hanna Court to continue to access People's Park. Like Ms. Dillon and like many of you, I would be strongly in favor of working with the developer to make sure that there is ample vegetation and a buffer in the back of that development to preserve the sort of natural look and feel that currently exists on that parcel. So I'm in favor of allowing staff, in particular Mr. Campbell, to negotiate with Damien and bring back a formal proposal for adoption at a subsequent council meeting. In addition to the easement, you may recall from his presentation, we'll also need to do some work on the placement of a utility line, if I'm not mistaken. Which can be worked out and negotiated with city staff. And as I said at the onset, a survey will also need to be done of the parcel as well. Am I missing anything, Mr. Campo? Is there any other direction that you need from council to proceed?
No, Mayor, I think because we would be bringing back any proposed purchase agreement to you all for your consideration, so.
Right. Okay. Everybody feel comfortable and okay where we're at with this? Obviously, this isn't, yeah, I'm sorry, please.
You might ask Damien if he has any questions, any thoughts.
Do you have any comments or questions for us at this time?
Well, thank you for that wonderful response. I wasn't expecting that tonight, so I'm very flattered. Thank you. I think, and I did have a discussion with some of the neighbors after the previous meeting about providing it right away, and I think that's fine. The only snag I ran into after the meeting is I got approached by one of the neighbors to the north, on the north property line, so actually on Henry Street,
Right.
asking to give the same conditions. And that would be a difficult thing to do. And so I don't know if that's going to create any political issues for you guys, for me, moving forward with this, but I think it's only fair to bring that up in this public forum.
Okay.
My response at the time was that I didn't think that it was a similar condition, frankly, and that the unit, the easternmost unit of our plan was as far from the houses on Mark Hanna Court as it is. In fact, it's further from the house on Henry Street than it is from the houses on Mark Hanna.
Okay.
That makes sense? Mm-hmm. And that property had not in the past had access across this land to the park.
Because it would have been private property.
It would have been private property. And but I am very confident that we can work something out just in a 5 to 10 foot area. And I think to answer the question, yes, that would have to become part of the condo agreement. So that would be something that then passes out of the city's hands completely as far as the setup of it, the maintenance of it, all of that would have to be worked out among myself and with the neighbors. If that answers your question, because I'm assuming the city wants to be free and clear of any of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Any questions or comments for Damien? No? We appreciate your comments, and making those part of the public record. Again, I appreciate your patience as we've deliberated on this matter. And Jim, I appreciate your patience as well. And I should also acknowledge Rick and Darby from Reinhardt, who've been our listing agents. We appreciate your work on this as well, and your patience as well.
They have represented you extremely well.
Good to know. Appreciate that very much. Okay, so you're comfortable with proceeding, and then, of course, something will come back in a subsequent council meeting for council's review and approval. Very good. Okay, thank you all. If there's nothing further under announcements, Mr. Rhodes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank Jim Heisler for his efforts in bringing a presentation to us. I know it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an inexpensive thing to do, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Any other announcements? No? Then we'll proceed to public comments. Under the Open Meetings Act, any citizen may come forward at this time and make comment or question to City Council. This public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Are there any citizen comments?
Good evening, Laura Gerbach, 272 Mark Hanna Court. I want to thank you, Mayor Merrill and Mr. Rhodes, first off for the meeting on Friday. I think it was very productive, and it was nice to be able to have a conversation versus just a comment, and feel that we were listened to. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to go on the record as saying I have notified the neighbors, I have walked in the cold, I have passed out information. So, they are very aware, and I've talked to many of the neighbors, and I think that they're going to be very pleased with this. And Mr. Farrell, I hope that we can have some communication as well. And I want a good relationship. We want, these are going to be our neighbors, so we want it to be a happy place. It's been a great place to live for the last 25 years, and I plan on being there another 25. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak and to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, and we appreciate your advocacy on this issue. We understand it. Now, I'll certainly be in touch with you and some of your neighbors to let you know when the final proposal comes before us, in case you'd like to comment and participate and attend that meeting as well.
Thank you very
You're quite welcome. Any additional citizen comments? No? Okay, then, as I mentioned at the work meeting this evening, we have a special council meeting next Wednesday, the 21st, at 6 p.m. here in council chambers to discuss our upcoming US 12 reconstruction project and the downtown streetscape, Michigan Avenue makeover, I should say. That's at 6 p.m. And then we have a regular council meeting on the 2nd with a work meeting beginning at 6 p.m. to review some ordinance changes recommended by the Code and Ordinance Review Task Force, a regular meeting to begin at 7:30 p.m., and then another meeting on February 9th at 7:30 p.m. As well. We already excused the absence of Councilmember Roth, so we can dispense with that. At this time, I would seek a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:27 p.m.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Cybo Koenig. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.